Well, hey everybody, welcome to another YouTube video for CSF Pittsburgh. You can see it's a little different this time. Normally it's just myself or Kaitlyn by ourselves doing a little riff on a Bible study, but we have a little bit of a different setup today because we believe that the conversation we're about to have is that important and that necessary. Obviously, I'm Eddie Provident. I am the the campus pastor at CSF Pittsburgh, and this is we'll call you my pastor in training, Kaitlyn Salmon. But today we're going to talk about the changes that were made by the federal government to the Title IX, Title IX Act, Title IX Law. So the Title IX Act. And why that's important for campus ministries, we want to talk about that, and we want to inform students as well. So for our students that are listening, we really want you to be in the know about what's going on, because I personally don't feel like there was a lot of press about this. There wasn't a lot of coverage. It just kind of happened under the radar. So I'm going to stop rambling, and I'm going to hand it over to Kaitlyn to kind of give us a little bit of an introduction and some information about what's going on. And then I have a couple questions for Kaitlyn, and we'll just let the conversation go where it goes, and hopefully it's informative for you. So
the Title IX was enacted in 1972. It prohibits discrimination based on sex. Just generally, that's what it does. So this includes sexual discrimination, includes violence, assault, battery, coercion, and a misrepresentation of women. It's most well known for sports equality. It allowed women to kind of be more involved in sports, have their own sports teams, play on other sports teams along with men, and just kind of have a lot more opportunities in the sports realm. However, it just has a lot more to it than just sports. Originally, there were rules, and the rules now in relation to sexual violence have changed immensely just over the summer. If a student does not want to file a complaint or does not request that the school take any action on their behalf, a school has responsibility and should know about sexual harassment or sexual violence and should investigate to determine what occurred. So even if a student doesn't come forward and say or press charges against whoever it is, their assaulter, the school still has the responsibility to act and to make sure that something like that doesn't happen again. As a student, you know that a lot of times this doesn't necessarily happen, and it can be difficult to move forward in a school that's not necessarily supporting your safety. The changes to the current Title IX practices, the most significant ones, according to us experts, are that colleges and universities are now required to allow cross-examination of the complaining party as well as the responding party. So this means any witnesses, and it must be held during a live hearing. So this means that the assaulter and the assaulted must sit in the same room and provide witness to the event. Despite risk of re-traumatizing the victim, this is now required by law in order for the school to move forward. In addition to that, colleges are only obligated to respond to reports of sexual harassment that occurred off campus if the location is in use by an official recognized student or institution organization, despite a majority of assault cases happening off campus. So now, any assault that happens in a non-recognized apartment building, so any apartment building that's not associated with the school, will not be responded to by the school, is not obligated to respond, and it won't necessarily be recognized. Originally, it would have been recognized, and now it still includes buildings such as fraternity, sorority housing, and athletic housing. But I know personally, athletic housing and a lot of sorority and fraternity houses, they're not held responsible the way that they should be when it comes to this kind of thing. In addition to that, the sexual harassment definition is a lot narrower than it used to be. It's now defined as any unwelcome conduct that a reasonable person would find severe, pervasive, and objectively offensive, that it denies a person equal education access. Reports of sexual assault, dating violence, domestic violence, and stalking do not need to meet this description. It was originally defined as any unwanted or unwelcome behavior. what then becomes severe and pervasive and objectively offensive to a reasonable person? Where is that line drawn? And how do you know if the school will listen to you, if you're being reasonable? And I think that this allows for a lot more doubt and a lot more self-blame from the victim, because they're going to think, oh, maybe I'm just not being reasonable and I shouldn't go and report this. And then the school then doesn't have to respond if the person doesn't seem like they're being reasonable. Colleges are also not obligated to handle complaints of sexual harassment that occur outside of the United States. This means that any harassment or assault that happens on study abroad programs, would not be covered by Title IX, even though the risk of assault is 4 times higher when studying abroad. Colleges are not obligated to follow a specific time frame when addressing these. When a charge is brought forward, originally they would have had to wait. They would have had 6 months to press charges and to put forward how they were going to address this. Now they can take as long as they want to, and they can just push it on for as long as they want to without any consequences for the people involved. So that means if there's a pro football player, they can continue for the rest of the year, for the rest of the football season. Or if there is somebody who's making money for the school, they can push it off until the end of the year, until they graduate. So that can cause a lot of issues as well, and can just make it really difficult for people to come forward and to express this concern and to express these events that have happened to them. And so these changes to Title IX are causing will potentially cause a lot of problems going into the next couple years.
The first question I have is, as a woman on campus, how do these changes affect your sense of safety? What does this do for you? When you think about going back to campus or going back for your grad program and the potential of being on campus for another 2 or 3 years, how does this make you feel, and what does this do for your safety?
As a woman on campus, I'm very lucky in that I didn't have to deal with a lot of men on campus. Chatham is predominantly women as it is, and so I didn't have to deal with a lot of that. But I do know several women on my campus, several women on other campuses just around Pittsburgh that have dealt with assault and harassment, and the people that assaulted them or harassed them are still on campus, and the problem wasn't addressed. So the schools, even before these changes, oftentimes didn't address the situations fully, or didn't really make sure that the victims felt safe and protected. And so now with these changes, the likelihood of a victim coming forward and feeling like they were supported and like their claim was taken seriously and respected, I think is going to drop a lot. So as a woman, when I go back to to get my master's or working on campus this year, I'm fully prepared to stand by the women that I have been standing by and just fight the school as much as I can. I think especially these people that I know that were struggling already with having to go to classes with their assaulter and having to do sports like contact sports with their assaulter are going to just really struggle and feel very unsafe this year. And so I'm fully prepared to fight and to stand by them for through the entire process.
One of the things you mentioned was standing by victims. Yeah. And one of the biggest arguments that I hear as a guy against stuff like this is the fact that there's so many false accusations made, especially against maybe high-profile football players, right, or high-profile basketball players, baseball players, people that we think maybe might be going off to do big things after university. So, what do you say to those that would cite false accusations as a reason for these changes to Title IX?
Sure. Well, unfortunately, those false accusations, they do happen, but I think it's somewhere around 10%. It's not a high percentage of these accusations are false. But these changes, even before these changes took place, it is the school's responsibility to support the victim while also finding out if it is true. There is a way to take in a person who says, oh, I'm feeling this way because this person did this, and comfort them and support them while also finding out if that's true. If a person comes up to you and says, I have been assaulted, you do not ever respond by saying, oh, are you telling the truth? Because that's just going to ruin any support, any trust, anything that this person needs. And in that moment, even if they are coming forward and it is a lie, obviously there is something wrong, something undertoned that maybe they don't even know themselves, but they need support in that area, even if it is not true. And so maybe these changes will protect against false accusations, but it was the school's responsibility before to protect against false accusations. And it is the school's responsibility now to protect against false accusations, just as much as it is the school's responsibility to protect the victims and to protect the people coming forward and make sure that they feel safe and supported. Because if they don't feel safe and supported, then the people that are actually being assaulted are not going to come forward and are going to continue living in fear and continue living in this unsafe space next to their assaulter, next to their domestic abuse partner. Like there's so many different situations where if you just focus on these negative aspects, the people who are actually struggling with these things are not going to feel comfortable coming forward and not going to feel like they have the support. And that is unacceptable.
And I think one of the problems that we run into, and I think this goes especially for for campus ministries, that we think that because of who we are and what we're doing, that this just doesn't happen to us. Mm-hmm. And without naming names or even saying when, I know people that were a part of CSF Pittsburgh. I know 2 individuals who were assaulted while involved with CSF Pittsburgh.
Not at CSF
not at CSF Pittsburgh specifically, but while they were on campus and right. While they were a part of our ministry. And one in particular, the way it was handled was when she went to the police. She went to the campus police at the university that she went to, and the police officer told her to sleep it off. Mm-hmm. And so even before these changes were made to Title IX, the universities and the law enforcement on campuses weren't handling these situations correctly. And I think that all this does now is give them more room to mm-hmm. not handle them correctly. And one of the things, again, Kaitlyn, I keep repeating you, but I really think you're nailing this on the head. You said that you never answer back to somebody who says they've been assaulted. Well, are you telling the truth? Obviously, the truth is what we want to find. The truth is what all of this is about. Mm. But in that moment, you have to be loving. You have to be caring. You have to be gentle with that person. And because in my opinion, the stakes are way too high. If they aren't telling the truth, that will eventually come to light. But if they are telling the truth and you treat them as they're not, you're going to do way more damage than you're going to do good. Yeah. Or you're going to do way more damage than anything that could happen if it goes the other way. Mm-hmm. And so I would encourage, speaking as a campus pastor, I would encourage other campus pastors and other leaders, other professors, people that work on campuses, that if you find yourself in a situation where someone feels comfortable and trusts you enough to let you know that they were assaulted, please handle it with as much love and respect and dignity and grace as you possibly can. I hate the cliche, what if it was your daughter, or what if it was your wife, or what if it was your sister, because it shouldn't have to be that way. But if it is that way for you, imagine if this was someone that you loved. Imagine if this was somebody that you care about that was going to somebody and saying that they were assaulted. How would you want them to handle that situation? And that's how we should handle these situations at all times. Mm-hmm. So I really have one more question for you. And it kind of gets to what we're talking about now. Yeah. In your opinion, as a woman, as a student who was on campuses, as someone who knows assault victims, who's helped them, who's stood for them, what can we do? What can I do as a campus minister? What can we do as a campus ministry to help ensure the safety of our students in light of these changes? And what can we do to make victims feel safe?
Yeah.
in our ministries, because I think that that's another very important thing.
Sure. As ministry, I've had so many conversations with ministers and with people as a part of the church. And the church, out of anywhere else, should be the place where you can come and feel safe and feel loved. You might feel convicted sometimes, but you should never feel unsafe or unloved. The church should be the epitome of love. And, on a college campus, I say this all the time. I've said it to you. College campuses, college students, at this time in their lives, they're lacking personal relationships more than any other time. And all they really need is a hug and a home-cooked meal. And if you can provide that, you're doing a good job. And in a situation like this, when a person comes to you and says, that they've been assaulted or that they're experiencing sexual harassment, it's important, first and foremost, to make sure that where they are sleeping is safe, that their classrooms are safe, and that they feel safe when they are walking down the street. Campus pastors are predominantly available on campus. Even if you, as a pastor, have a full-time job and you're not necessarily on campus during the day, there are other people. You can call a friend. I'm available. We will walk with you down the street if you don't feel safe. And other pastors, even if you're not a part of their ministry, if, we will call them. We will say, this person is not feeling safe. Please meet them here at this time and walk with them, because this person, their assaulter, is always on this street corner, and so they don't feel comfortable walking past them, and they shouldn't have to rearrange their entire day because the school is not supporting them and making sure that this person is not a part of their daily life. And so as college ministers, we're here to just exude the love of God. And that is the single most important aspect of our job. And that means being willing to drop everything and just care for someone when it's necessary. And what's so awesome is that, God just is there for the brokenhearted in such a powerful way. And he comes in and he scoops these people up and he just cares for them. And a lot of times he works in that loving and graceful and just amazing way through the people in their lives. And that's our job. Our job is to go in and just let God love through us, and to just let God show the people his grace, and to let God. That's it. We just let God. And if we are living as a campus minister and just letting God work the way he chooses to in our lives with the people and the students that we're working with, then they'll know, and they'll feel safe, and they'll feel loved, and that will be what matters, and that will be what is necessary.
Yeah, and one of the things for me, the first time that I dealt with somebody that that came to me and let me know that they were sexually assaulted, the problem that I had was I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know who to refer that person to. I didn't know how to handle it. And I'll be honest, I don't think I handled it well. I mean, I loved on that person, but I think my anger because of it happening to that person probably came through a little more than it should have. And so what I would encourage is for us campus pastors, there are plenty of resources out on the internet. There are plenty of places that we can go. One of the best is PAR, which is Pittsburgh Action Against Rape. Yeah. They have a website with plenty of resources. They have a hotline that you can call 24/7. They have therapists that are available for victims. They have a wealth of information and a wealth of knowledge that we can use. Yeah.
They also offer training in sexual assault counseling, which I took, and I think is really beneficial for anybody who will be dealing with any other human on the earth. I think it's really useful. Yeah.
And so I would encourage us as campus pastors to make sure that this is another tool in our belt, to make sure that we know what to do, where to go, who to talk to on campus, and that kind of thing. And if you're struggling with that, if you are a campus pastor and you feel like this is just, you're in way over your head talking about this kind of thing, all of my information is on our Facebook page. All of my information is on our website. Feel free to reach out to me, and I would have no problem helping you out and getting the resources that you would need. If you are a victim and you're listening to this right now, and you haven't told anybody, or you haven't felt comfortable or safe to tell anybody, that's okay. First of all, that's normal. That's actually pretty par for the course. Yeah. And what I would want and what I would hope for you is that you eventually find the courage to speak to somebody. Yeah. Don't carry that burden alone. And it's not a burden that you've given yourself. It's not anything that you did yourself. It's not your fault. But it's not something that you have to carry alone. It's something that you can, like Kaitlyn said, you can speak with Kaitlyn, you can come to me. Find a loved one that maybe that you trust, that you feel like you can go to and just open up to. But I would really encourage you to find somebody to help carry this load, because it's not something you can carry alone. And
when you do tell people, understand that you are not a burden to them.
Correct.
It's heavy to carry by yourself, but what's nice is that I can help you carry that, and I can then pass it on to God. And so then God's really going to be carrying all of it, and we won't be carrying any of it.
Yeah. And like I said, I can't stress this enough, but if you happen to be a student in the Pittsburgh area and you need somebody to speak with, Kaitlyn and I are always available.
Absolutely.
We will always make time for something like this.
Absolutely.
So yeah, be informed. Honestly, I know that's such a stupid comment, but I mean, this is something that, like I said, it didn't get a lot of press. It didn't get a lot of ink. It was kind of, in the background of the pandemic, in the background of the political turmoil we're going through right now, and it just didn't get a lot of attention. And I feel that it needs to get a lot of attention, especially for college students and people that work with college students, because this is something we are going to deal with. It's not a matter of if you're going to deal with it. Unfortunately, it's a matter of when you're going to deal with it. So, that the new age statement, Google is free.
Yeah.
Just Google Title IX and you'll find everything that you need, honestly. Reach out to us if you need us. My phone number and email are on the Facebook page and the website. I believe Kaitlyn's information is on there as well. But honestly, reach out to us if you need anything, and hopefully we can keep this discussion going off of Facebook and YouTube, and do this in person. And again, if you need any of these resources, or if you need to speak with somebody, we are always available. Do you have anything else to add, or do you have anything else to cap it off?
Make sure that you guys know, I've told people that I have a daily conversation with, but my house is always open. If you are not feeling safe on campus, contact me and I will pick you up and I will bring you to my house and I will make sure that you feel safe. I have lots of blankets and I have lots of comfort food. I'm ready for you.
Well, again, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking us out. Continue to keep up with the YouTube page. Continue to keep up with the Facebook page. We'll be back Sunday morning with our normal live stream of our worship service. So God bless, take care, and we'll see you next time.